I'm Effie, this is What Effie Reads, and in this video I'm going to be running through the 10 most surprising books that I read in 2023. First up we have A Dirty Business by Tijan. This was my first time reading a mafia romance, and the amount that I enjoyed it definitely would have made it on this list already, because it really kind of opened a whole new world of romances up to me. And I'm excited to read more mafia romances next year. In fact, drop me any recommendations because I'm on the lookout for some mafia romance to pick up in the new year. But also, in addition to the fact that I just really enjoyed it and didn't expect to, is the ending. I can't say much more than that, and I don't know if it's the kind of thing that's common for the genre, but the ending completely floored me and just wow. The Uncommon Reader by Bennett. I was mostly surprised by how quirky and charming this book was. I had an idea, and I'm pretty sure it's in my scrapped videos idea pile now, but I wanted to read kind of irreverent books about the Queen, and this book made that list. But it's the only book that I had read for that video idea, hence why it's likely scrapped now. But it was just so surprisingly enjoyable. The idea of the Queen kind of stumbling along her local mobile library and suddenly becoming an avid reader and not caring about statecraft anymore was just a really enjoyable read. And then the ending, I remember as I was reading it going, there's not many pages left. How's this going to resolve? And then it ended and I was like, oh, that was so clever. Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton-Walker. I think my biggest surprise with this book was how vicious it was, because I feel like I had an expectation about the level of kind of horror and violence that you get in YA, and it definitely didn't match what was in this book. I'm not saying it was wrong. I really enjoyed how vicious and violent it got, but it was so different than the expectation I had in my head about what I would expect from this age categorization, I suppose. Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Seanan McGuire. The reason this makes my surprising list is because one of the worlds that the characters visit in this book is a world that I didn't expect them to visit, or at least not anytime soon, so that kind of surprised me. Vampire Menstrual Syndrome, The First Cycle by S.C. Hunter. This was my first foray into kind of humorous horror, and yes, I was very much excited to read this. This was something that I'd had my eye on for months. I requested an arc and, was successful in getting an arc of it. But genuinely, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. But it just hooked me, and I had the best of times reading this book, and I really need to actually get myself a physical copy because I really enjoyed it. And I know that the author has made edits between the arc and the physical copy, partially because I actually had an email correspondence with the author, and basically they said they were going to change this particular thing that I highlighted. So yeah, I definitely need to remember to get myself a physical copy. Washed Up with a Kraken by L.E. Eldridge. This is a monster romance between a human and a kraken. A woman gets shoved overboard by a jealous co-worker and then gets rescued by a kraken. This is the second book in, I think the series is called Trapped with a Monster. I could be wrong about the series name. I will say these books very much need an editor's touch, which they don't appear to have had. But they're also quite decent stories. But the thing that surprised me about this book was tentacles. Unhinged by Vera Valentine was my first time reading what I've dubbed as object romance. I do have 2 videos talking about the books that I've read in this genre, so I won't go too much into it. But the reason that this particularly made this list was the fact that this was my first time reading this kind of romance, and it was really well done. I think if I hadn't have had such a good time with this book, I probably wouldn't have kind of gone down the rabbit hole and read as many of the books in this kind of genre as I had. And actually, like, it's kind of the start of me going, any recommendations, guys? Because I'm open for more. Dracula by Bram Stoker. It feels really weird to say that, like, as someone who absolutely adores vampires, like, you know, anything with teeth, give it to me. I mean, I've made a list of the vampire books I'm most anticipating for next year, and I've already, like, got more vampire books that I've discovered that are gonna be on my anticipated. Just vampires. Love vampires. But I hadn't read Dracula. Like, I literally, until about a week ago, I had not read Dracula, and now I have. And honestly, I was not expecting how goofy this book would be. It's so ridiculous, and like, I had a good time, but it was so silly. And I don't think it's meant to be seen as silly. It just was. Fallen Thorns by Harvey Oliver Baxter. In a similar way to the first book on this list, there's a particular moment in this book that all I can say is emotional damage. Like, it just completely ripped my heart out. This was another book that I got an ARC for, and at the bottom of the note that the author included, it basically said, sorry, I guess, for what you're about to read. And I kind of went in, like, knowing that, but I did not expect the level of pain this book would cause me. And yeah, it's a sad one. A Lie for a Lie by Helena Hunting makes this list because it's the pregnancy trope done right. Like, okay, in fairness, like, the character isn't actually pregnant. It's like secret baby rather than pregnancy trope. But it's approached well, and it especially stood out because I think it's Princess and the Player, I think it's called, by Isla Madden Mills, was kind of like the flip side of it, of the trope done poorly. And I'd read them at a similar time, so this kind of stood out as, okay, this is how you do that right. And I appreciate that. And those were the 10 most surprising books of the year. I know some of them were more surprising moments in books, but I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to leave me a comment but don't have a specific recommendation, tell me the book that surprised you most in 2023. And until tomorrow, love you. Bye.